She let a starving man eat free. His tip changed her life forever. Her hand trembled as she clutched the crumpled receipt, its edges damp from sweat and the late afternoon humidity. The diner clock ticked loudly overhead, each second echoing. In the quiet room, like a countdown, she couldn't stop. Outside, the sky had darkened quickly. Storm clouds rolled in low and heavy, blotting out the weak sunlight. Rain had started to tap against the windows, like nervous fingers, soft but relentless. The small bell over the diner's door jingled faintly as a late customer entered, but her eyes stayed fixed on the crumpled piece of paper on the table before her. Beneath the ketchup bottle sat a neatly folded $20 bill. No more than that. It was a $100 bill, and tucked carefully inside, a small, cold object pressed against the paper. She pulled it out and gasped softly. A silver key. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Why leave a key? What did it open? Was it a mistake, or was it meant for her? Only hours ago, this man had walked into her diner. A scruffy figure hunched over in the doorway, wearing clothes worn thin by dirt and time. His eyes were hollow and sunken, shadowed by dark circles. His shoes were caked in mud, and his hands trembled ever so slightly when he held the cup of coffee she'd given him without asking for a dime. "Eat as much as you want," she'd said, forcing a smile even as she worried about the bills piling up. It was a small diner on the edge of town, barely breaking even, but something about him had pulled at her heart. Maybe it was the desperate way he looked at her, or the way he cradled the warm food like it was a lifeline. He'd accepted the meal, silently, eyes darting nervously to the door every now and then, like he was waiting for someone or something. She'd caught herself wondering what story he carried, what pain or trouble had driven him here, hungry and alone. Then, as quickly as he'd appeared, he'd left, slipping out into the fading light without a word. Now, this, the key. Her heart pounded hard against her ribs. Questions flooded her mind. Did the key belong to him? Was he asking for help or warning her? She wasn't sure she wanted to find out. The bell over the door jingled again, louder this time. She looked up to see a tall man stepping inside, rainwater dripping off his dark coat and the brim of his hat. His boots squeaked softly on the worn linoleum floor. He paused, eyes scanning the diner, and when they landed on her, his expression hardened. "Ma'am," he said quietly but firmly, "I need to talk to you about the man you fed last night." Her breath caught in her throat. "What about him?" she managed to ask, voice barely above a whisper. He pulled out a badge and flipped it toward her. "Detective Ryan Kane. We've been looking for that man for a while." She blinked, stunned. Looking for him? Why? What did he do? Ryan's jaw tightened. That man's in serious trouble. And now so are you. The diner suddenly felt colder. That was how it all began. Her name was Emma, and she had run the little diner on the edge of town for 5 years now. It wasn't glamorous or fancy, but it was hers. A place where locals gathered for morning coffee, farmers stopped by after early shifts, and lonely souls found a warm meal and a friendly smile. But Emma had never imagined that a single act of kindness, giving a starving man a free meal, would throw her entire life into chaos. The hours that followed blurred into a mix of fear and confusion. Detective Kane sat across from her in a booth near the back, his eyes sharp, searching. "You need to tell me everything you know about him," Kane said, voice low but urgent. "Where did he come from? Did he say anything unusual? Did he leave anything behind besides that key and the money?" Emma's hands wrapped tightly around her coffee cup as she recounted every detail. The man had been silent, except for a few words of thanks. He hadn't given his name or asked for anything. He looked lost, like he was running from something or someone. Kane nodded slowly. "This man's a fugitive, not just any criminal. He's connected to a case we've been investigating for months. Kidnapping, fraud, even murder." Emma's stomach turned. "You're saying he could be dangerous?" Kane hesitated. "Possibly. But right now he's more a victim than anything else. We believe he's been forced into things he didn't want. The key you found, it might be the only clue he left behind to ask for help." Emma felt her world tipping over. The kindness she'd shown, a simple act, had led her into a web of secrets and danger far beyond her quiet diner. That night, sleep was impossible. She sat by the window, key clutched in her palm, watching. The rain poured down like tears from the sky. Who was this man? Why had he left her the key? And most terrifying, what was coming next? Early the next morning, Emma unlocked the back door of the diner to take out the trash and found an envelope taped under the doorstep. Her hand shook as she peeled it open. Inside was a single piece of paper with a message written in messy, hurried handwriting. "If you want the truth, follow the key." No signature. Fear and curiosity tangled inside her like a storm. She had no idea what she was stepping into, but one thing was clear. This was no longer just about a free meal or a starving stranger. It was a mystery, one that could change everything. Hours later, she found herself standing outside an old, abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Her breath formed small clouds in the cold morning air. The key in her hand felt heavier than ever. With trembling fingers, she slid the key into the rusty lock of the warehouse door. It clicked. The door creaked. Open. Inside, darkness swallowed her whole. Suddenly, a faint sound broke the silence, a soft whisper, almost like a voice calling from the shadows. "Emma." Her heart froze. She spun around, but the warehouse was empty, or so she thought. She wasn't alone. And just then, her phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "Don't trust anyone, they're watching you." She let a starving man eat free. His tip changed her life. Forever, Emma's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. The message on her phone glowed ominously in the dark. "Don't trust anyone. They're watching you." Her breath hitched. Who had sent it? How did they know her name? She took a cautious step backward from the empty warehouse, the old wooden door creaking shut behind her. The key was still cold in her palm, the metal heavy with meaning she didn't understand. The rain outside had stopped, but the heavy clouds still loomed, as if the sky itself was holding its breath. Emma pulled her jacket tighter around her and dialed Detective Kane's number. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Panic began to rise. Had Kane warned her, or was he somehow involved in this? She remembered the cold, hard look in his eyes, the way his voice had been low and urgent. "That man's in trouble, and now so are you." Was Kane really here to help, or was there more he wasn't telling her? She left the warehouse quickly, feeling eyes watching her from the shadows. Every step felt heavy, like she was being pulled deeper into a trap. Back at the diner, the usual hum of early morning breakfast rush was replaced by a strange silence. The place felt colder, emptier, as if the kindness she'd shown the starving man had opened a door to darkness. Emma locked the front door behind her and slid down against it, heart hammering in her chest. She needed answers. But where to start? The diner's phone rang suddenly, slicing through the silence. Her hands shook as she picked it up. "Hello?" A voice she didn't recognize answered, rough, tired, but filled with urgency. "You don't know me," the voice said, "but I know about the man you fed last night. And you're in danger." Emma swallowed hard. "Who is this?" "No time to explain," the voice whispered. "Meet me at the old train station in an hour. Come alone. Bring the key." Before she could ask more, the line went dead. Emma stared at the phone, mind spinning. Should she trust this stranger? Was this another trap? But what choice did she have? An hour later, she stood under the cold, flickering street lamp at the abandoned train station on the edge of town. The wind whispered through broken windows and rusted tracks, carrying the scent of forgotten memories. Her breath steamed in the night air as she clutched the silver key tightly. Minutes passed. The shadows shifted. Then, footsteps. A figure emerged. From the darkness, a woman mid-30s dressed in a long coat, eyes sharp and haunted. "You're Emma," she said quietly. "Who are you?" Emma asked, heart racing. "My name's Sarah," the woman said. "I knew the man you fed. I was his friend once." Emma's eyes widened. What happened to him? Sarah's lips tightened. He was forced into something terrible. There's a reason he ran. And why the police are after him. Emma's mind reeled. Why did he leave the key with me? Sarah's gaze flickered toward the silver key in Emma's hand. He trusted you. He knew you'd help him find the truth. Emma swallowed hard. "But I don't even know him." Sarah smiled sadly. "Sometimes the kindest strangers are the ones who change everything." Suddenly, the sharp sound of a car door slamming echoed nearby. Both women froze. "Did you hear that?" Sarah whispered. Emma nodded, heart pounding. "Someone's here." The women melted back into the shadows just as headlights swept over the tracks. A black SUV rolled slowly past. Windows tinted so dark Emma couldn't see inside. But the feeling of being watched grew stronger. "Who's after him?" Emma asked Sarah, voice barely audible. "People with power," Sarah said grimly. "People who will do anything to keep their secrets buried. The man you fed stumbled onto something dangerous, something worth killing for." Emma's stomach twisted. "Then why me?" Sarah's eyes locked. "With hers. Because he believed in your kindness, and because you're stronger than you think." As the SUV disappeared down the road, Emma realized this wasn't just about a free meal anymore. It was about survival. The next days blurred into a whirlwind of fear and determination. Emma found herself digging into the man's past, piecing together fragments of his life from whispers around town and old news articles. She learned his name was Jacob. Once a successful businessman, he'd vanished months ago amid rumors of corruption and crime, rumors that now seemed painfully real. Late one night, as Emma worked alone in the diner's back office, the door creaked open. A shadow slipped inside. She spun around, heart in, her throat, but it was only Sarah. "I found something," Sarah said, pulling out a crumpled envelope. Inside were photographs. Jacob shaking hands with powerful men, signing papers, meeting in dark alleys, and a single note. "Trust no one." Emma's phone buzzed again. A new message. "They're closer than you think. Watch your back." She looked up to find Sarah gone, vanished into the night. Emma knew one thing for sure. The key had opened more than a warehouse door. It had unlocked a dangerous secret, and now she was part of the story. Just then the diner's phone rang. A harsh, cold voice whispered on the other end, "Stop digging or you'll lose everything." Emma's hands trembled as the line went dead. Her quiet life was over. Cliffhanger. What now? Who warned her? Who's watching? What secret is Jacob hiding that powerful people want to keep buried? Emma must decide. Fight to uncover the truth, or protect herself before it's too late. She let a starving man eat free. His tip changed her life. Forever, Emma sat alone in the diner's dim back office, the cold glow of her laptop screen flickering like a heartbeat in the dark. The threatening phone call still echoed in her mind. "Stop digging or you'll lose everything." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling. She wanted to stop, to forget this whole nightmare and go back to the safe, quiet life she'd known. But something inside her wouldn't let her. Who was Jacob, really? Why had he trusted her? And what was the secret powerful enough to make strangers threaten her? She typed Jacob Harris into the search engine, scrolling through old news stories and social media posts. Once, Jacob had been a rising star in the business world, a CEO with a promising future. But rumors of fraud and illegal deals had ruined him. The last article was dated 6 months ago. "Businessman disappears amid corruption scandal." Emma's stomach twisted. Had Jacob really been guilty, or had he been set up? Her phone buzzed. A new message, this time from an unknown number. Meet me tomorrow at the city park near the fountain. Come alone. No signature, no explanation. Emma's mind raced. Should she go? Was it a trap? Sleep came in fits and starts that night, haunted by visions of Jacob's haunted eyes and Sarah's warning. People with power will do anything to keep their secrets buried. At dawn, Emma decided she had no choice. She would go to the park. The city park was quiet when she arrived. The morning mist curling around the fountain like a ghost. She scanned the area, her heart pounding. A man sat on a bench nearby, mid-40s, wearing a dark hoodie that hid most of his face. Emma? The voice was low but familiar. She nodded. I'm Mark, he said, standing up slowly. Jacob's brother. Emma's breath caught. Your brother is in trouble, Mark said grimly. He didn't just disappear. He's on the run. And those people chasing him? They want to destroy everything he touched. Mark explained that Jacob had uncovered a criminal network disguised as a legitimate corporation. They had been involved in money laundering, illegal arms deals, and even worse. Jacob had tried to expose them, but they were powerful, ruthless, and had resources far beyond his. He wanted to get proof, Mark said. That's why he gave you the key. It opens a safe where he hid the evidence. Emma's eyes widened. Safe? Yes, in an old warehouse by the docks. She clenched the silver key in her hand. Mark's warning was clear. If Emma got involved, she would be a target, but the chance to find the truth burned too bright inside her to walk away. The next day, Emma went back to the warehouse. The building was old and crumbling, hidden behind a fence covered in rust and vines. Her heart thudded loudly as she inserted the key into the lock. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, dusty room filled with crates and boxes. At the far end, a heavy metal safe stood against the wall. Emma's hand shook as she used the key to unlock it. Inside, she found a stack of folders, hard drives, and a leather-bound notebook. The notebook's pages were filled with detailed notes, names, dates, and coded messages. Emma realized this was the proof Jacob had gathered, evidence of the criminal network's illegal activities. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind her. She spun around, heart racing, but the doorway was empty. Who's there? She called out, voice trembling. No answer. Emma grabbed the folders and drives, stuffing them into her bag. As she turned to leave, a cold voice whispered behind her. Going somewhere, Emma? She froze. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows. Detective Kane. Kane's face was unreadable, but his eyes were sharp and cold. I told you to stop digging, he said quietly. Emma's mind raced. Why are you here? Kane's lips curled into a half smile. Because I want to help. But you're playing a dangerous game. He told her about his own investigation into the network, how he'd been trying to bring them down from the inside, but his position was fragile, and he couldn't risk anyone else getting involved. Emma didn't know whether to trust him. Suddenly, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance. Kane's eyes narrowed. They're coming. We have to move. He grabbed Emma's arm and pulled her toward the exit. Outside, black SUVs rolled in, headlights cutting through the fog. Men in dark suits and masks surrounded the building. Emma's heart pounded. Who are they? She asked Kane. People who want to keep their secrets safe. People who won't hesitate to kill. Kane pushed Emma toward a side door, leading her into a maze of narrow alleyways and back streets. As they ran, Emma's bag caught on a loose nail, tearing open. The folders spilled onto the wet pavement. She gasped, scrambling to gather them, but Kane grabbed her hand. Forget the evidence. We have to get you somewhere safe. They reached a hidden car where Sarah was waiting. I've been watching, she said grimly. We don't have much time. The car sped away, weaving through the city as sirens blared behind them. Emma looked at Kane, confusion and fear battling in her chest. Why did you really help me? He hesitated. Because sometimes the truth is worth risking everything. As the car turned into a quiet neighborhood, Emma's phone buzzed again. A message flashed on the screen. "They're closer than you think. Trust no one." Emma's breath caught as she looked around the empty street. Was Kane telling the truth? Or was he part of the danger too? Cliffhanger. What now? Who is truly on Emma's side? Can she trust Kane, Sarah, or even Mark? And will the evidence survive long enough to expose the truth? Or will the shadows swallow it all? She, letter starving, man eat free. His tip changed her life. Forever Emma's hands trembled as she gripped the steering wheel of the small car Sarah had borrowed. The rain hammered against the windshield like a warning drum. Her mind was a storm of doubt, fear, and hope. The message still haunted her. "They're closer than you think. Trust no one." Who was watching her? Who wanted to silence her? Sarah sat silently beside her, eyes fixed on the road ahead. Neither spoke. The silence between them was heavy, loaded with unasked questions. After a long pause, Sarah finally broke it. "They've been tracking Jacob for months," she said quietly. "We thought disappearing would keep him safe, but this is bigger than we imagined." Emma swallowed hard. "What exactly are we dealing with?" Sarah glanced at her. "Powerful people, corrupt politicians, businessmen, even law enforcement. They've built a network that controls everything, from money laundering to illegal arms deals." Emma's heart pounded harder. "And Jacob?" He found proof, enough to bring them down if it ever got out. Emma glanced at the bag sitting on the floor. The evidence, she felt the weight of it physically pressing on her. "We have to get this evidence to someone who can expose them," Emma said. Sarah nodded. "There's one person I trust, a journalist named Marcus. He's fearless and has a reputation for uncovering corruption." Emma knew the risks, but she also knew it was their only shot. That night they drove through empty streets to meet Marcus in a rundown cafe on the city's edge. Marcus was a middle-aged man with graying hair and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. He listened carefully as Emma and Sarah laid out everything, the evidence, the threats, the danger. "This is huge," Marcus said, his voice low but steady. "If this gets out, it'll shake the city to its core." "But you can protect us, right?" Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. Marcus shook his head. "No one's safe once you go down this road. But I'm willing to take the risk." As Marcus reviewed the files, his expression darkened. "These names here, some are untouchable. They have people everywhere." Emma felt a cold chill. She was right to be scared. Suddenly, Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and paled. "Too close," he muttered. "They're onto us." Without warning, the cafe door slammed open. Two men in suits entered, eyes scanning the room. Emma's breath caught. Marcus whispered, "Stay calm. Don't make a scene." The men approached the counter, speaking in low tones with the barista. Then they looked directly at Emma and Marcus. One spoke into a hidden mic. "We're watching them." Emma's heart hammered. They had been found. Marcus quickly grabbed a flash drive and stuffed it into Emma's bag. "We have to move, now." They slipped out the back door and disappeared into the night. Back in the car, Sarah drove like her life depended on it, because it did. Emma stared out the window, watching the city blur past. She thought about Jacob, the man who trusted a stranger with his secret. The next day, Emma met Kane at a secluded park. "I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore," Emma said, her voice cracking. Kane looked at her with tired eyes. "Sometimes, trust is a choice you have to make." Emma nodded, but inside she was torn. Suddenly, Kane handed her a small envelope. "Jacob left this for you. He said you'd need it." Emma opened it carefully. Inside was a photograph of a woman she didn't recognize. "Who is she?" Emma asked. Kane hesitated. "That's the real mystery. Jacob's past. It's more complicated than we thought." Emma's. Phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. Look closer. She's the key. Emma studied the photograph, searching for clues. Who was the woman? What connection did she have to Jacob and to the dangerous people chasing them? Emma's world spun faster. She realized that the story was far from over. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the photograph and the message. What was she missing? Suddenly her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Her heart skipped a beat. She answered cautiously. A calm voice said, "You want answers? Meet me at the old pier, midnight." Before Emma could respond, the line went dead. Emma stared at the phone. Should she go, or was it a trap? Her mind was a battlefield of fear and curiosity. She let a starving man eat free. His tip changed her life. Forever, Emma stood at the edge of the old pier, the salty wind biting through her thin jacket. The moon was a pale glow behind thick clouds, casting long shadows over the water. Her phone had gone dead the moment she stepped outside the diner, and now she was alone, except for the distant sound of footsteps approaching. She tensed. A figure appeared from the shadows. A woman cloaked in a dark coat, hood pulled low over her face. "Emma?" The voice was soft but urgent. Emma nodded. "Who are you? Why did you want to meet me?" The woman lowered her hood. Emma's breath caught. It was the woman in the photo. "I'm Claire," she said. "Jacob's sister." Emma blinked, shocked. "Why didn't Jacob tell me about you?" Claire's eyes flickered with pain. "He wanted to protect you. And me." Emma's mind raced. So much had been hidden. Claire pulled a folded letter from her coat and handed it to Emma. "Jacob wrote this before he disappeared. He said you should read it when the time was right." Emma carefully unfolded the paper. Her eyes scanned the words, each sentence heavy with emotion. "If you're reading this, it means I'm in danger, or worse. There's a secret I've been hiding, something I never told Claire or anyone. It's why they want me dead. Please, protect her, and find the truth. Trust no one." Emma looked up, trembling. "What secret?" Claire's voice dropped to a whisper. Jacob wasn't just a whistleblower. He was protecting something much bigger, a secret that could destroy the entire corrupt network. Emma's heart pounded. The stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the pier entrance. "Get down!" Claire shouted. They ducked behind a stack of crates just as two men in dark suits appeared, scanning the area. Emma's breath was shallow. "How did they find us?" Claire shook her head. "They're everywhere." One of the men pulled out a phone, speaking rapidly. Emma caught the words. "She's here. Don't let her leave." Emma's mind raced. "We need to get out now." Claire nodded. Together they sprinted toward the docked fishing boats. As they reached a small boat, Claire struggled with the engine. Emma frantically looked around. The men were closing in. Just as the engine sputtered to life, a shout rang out. "Stop! Them!" Emma and Claire pushed the boat off the dock, the waves rocking violently beneath them. The men fired shots that splashed dangerously close. Emma's hands gripped the side of the boat as Claire sped away from the pier. Her heart pounded. In her ears, what secret did Jacob hide? Emma demanded. Claire's eyes were fierce. Evidence that could bring down the entire operation. Names, dates, accounts. But it's hidden where no one would think to look. Emma's mind flashed back to the diner, to the man who ate for free. Was he connected? Claire pulled out a battered map. This shows the location, an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. Jacob used to meet someone there. Emma stared. "We have to go. We have to find it before they do." The boat pulled up to a quiet dock. Emma and Claire moved quickly, careful to stay out of sight. The warehouse was old and abandoned, covered in rust and graffiti. Inside, the air was thick with dust and secrets. They searched room by room, the tension building. Then, behind a false wall, Emma's fingers brushed against a small metal box. Her breath caught. Claire pried it open. Inside were stacks of documents, USB drives, and a small recorder. Emma's hands shook as she picked up the recorder. She pressed play. Jacob's voice filled the room, calm but urgent. "If you find this, it means I'm gone. This is the proof, the names, the crimes. Please use it wisely." Suddenly the warehouse doors creaked open. Footsteps echoed. Emma and Claire froze. The men had found them. Emma looked at Claire. "We have to get out, now." They grabbed the box and ran toward a back exit. Gunshots rang out behind them. Emma's heart felt like it would burst. Outside, a black SUV waited. Claire yanked the door open. They jumped in as the engine roared. As they sped away, Emma's phone buzzed, a new message. "You're closer than ever, but not everyone is who they seem." Emma looked at Claire, confusion and fear mixing. "Who can we trust?" Claire's eyes were dark. "That's the real question." Emma realized this fight was far from over. The secret was out, but the danger was just beginning. She let a starving man eat free. His tip changed her life forever. The black SUV slid to a stop behind an unmarked building, a safe house Marcus had secured. Emma and Claire stepped inside, breathless, clutching the box of evidence like their lives depended on it, because they did. "Are you sure this place is secure?" Emma asked, her voice low but tense. Marcus nodded grimly. "For now. But they're closing in." Emma looked around the dim room, its peeling paint and dusty windows a harsh contrast to the danger they'd escaped. She took a deep breath, the weight of everything pressing down on her. Jacob's secret, the corrupt network, the men hunting them. Claire sat down, exhaustion pulling at her. "Jacob wasn't just protecting his family," she said quietly. "He was trying to fix a system rotten to the core, but the cost was his life." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "And I thought I was just a waitress." Claire smiled faintly. "Sometimes the smallest acts can change everything." Marcus connected his laptop and began uploading the files to multiple trusted news outlets. "This will expose them," he said. "No one can ignore this now." Emma watched the progress bar inch forward, heart pounding. Suddenly her phone buzzed again, the message from before. "Not everyone is who they seem." Emma's stomach dropped. "Who do you think sent that?" she asked Claire. Claire's eyes darkened. "One of us has been betrayed." The room fell silent as the meaning sank in. Emma thought back to Kane, the man who had handed her the photograph of Claire. Had he been working against them all along? Suddenly, the door burst open. Kane stepped inside, face hard and unreadable. "Emma," he said, voice cold, "you should have trusted me." Emma's heart shattered. "How could you?" she whispered. Kane's eyes flickered with pain and anger. "I tried to protect you, but there's no fighting this from the outside. I had to join them to survive." Emma shook her head in disbelief. "You betrayed Jacob and us." Kane's expression softened. "I never wanted to hurt you. But the truth is, this corruption goes deeper than you know. I was trying to find a way to stop it from the inside." Emma looked at Claire, tears streaming down her face. "Can we trust him?" Claire hesitated, then nodded slowly. "We have to." Marcus finished uploading the evidence. "We need to prepare for the fallout," he said. "This will shake the city, but it will also put all of us in danger." Emma nodded, feeling a fierce determination rising inside her. The next morning, news outlets exploded with reports of the scandal. Faces of powerful men flashed across screens everywhere. The corrupt network was exposed. Emma stood outside the diner, the place where it all began. She looked at the empty chair where the starving man had sat. She never knew his name, but his kindness had changed everything. Claire joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Jacob would be proud." Emma smiled, the pain of loss mingling with a new hope. Weeks later, Emma received a letter. Inside was a simple note. "Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are." Emma understood now. The man who ate for free had given her more than just a tip. He had given her the courage to stand up, fight back, and find her true strength. And in doing so, she had changed her life and the lives of countless others forever. The end.